When the hour came, Jesus took his place at table with the apostles. He said to them, I have eagerly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I shall not eat again until there is fulfillment in the kingdom of God. Then he took a cup, gave thanks, and said, take this and share it amongst yourselves. For I tell you that from this time on, I shall not drink from the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes. Then he took the bread, said the blessing, broke it, and gave it to them, saying, this is my body, which will be given for you. Do this in memory of me. And likewise the cup, after they had eaten, saying, this cup is the new covenant of my blood, which will be shed for you. And yet, behold, the hand of the one who is to betray me is with me on the table. For the Son of Man indeed goes as it has been determined. But woe to that man by whom the Son is betrayed. And they began to debate among themselves who among them would do such a deed. And an argument broke out among them. Among which of them would be regarded as the greatest? And Jesus said to them, the kings of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those in authority over them are addressed as benefactors. But among you it shall not be so. Rather, let the greatest among you be as the youngest, and the leader as the servant. For who is greater, the one seated at table, the one who serves? Is it not the one seated at table? I am among you as the one who serves. You who have stood me by my trials, I confer a kingdom on you, just as my Father has conferred one on me. That you may eat and drink at my table in my kingdom, and you will sit on the thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has demanded to sift all of you like wheat. But I have prayed that you yourself may not fail, and that once you have turned back, you must strengthen your brothers. Simon Peter said to Jesus, Lord, I am prepared to go to prison. I am prepared to die with you. Jesus replied, I tell you, Peter, before the cock crows this day, you will deny 3 times that you know me. He said to them, when I sent you forth without a money bag or a sack or sandals, were you in need of anything? No, nothing, they replied. He said to them, but now one who has a money bag should take it, and likewise a sack. And one who does not have a sword should sell his cloak and buy one. For I tell you, this scripture must be fulfilled in me, namely, he was counted among the wicked. And indeed, what is written about me is coming to fulfillment. Then they said, look, there are 2 swords there. But Jesus replied, it is enough. Then, going out, he went, as was his custom, to the Mount of Olives, and the disciples followed him. When he arrived at the place, he said to them, pray that you may not undergo the test. After withdrawing about a stone's throw from them and kneeling, he prayed, saying, Father, if you are willing, take this cup away from me. But still not my will, but yours be done. And to strengthen him, an angel from heaven appeared to him. Jesus was in such agony, and he prayed so fervently that sweat became like drops of blood falling to the ground. And when Jesus arose from prayer and returned to his disciples, he found them sleeping from grief. He said to them, why are you sleeping? Get up and pray that you may not undergo the test. While he was still speaking, the crowd approached, and in front was one of the 12, a man named Judas. He went up to Jesus to kiss him. Jesus said to him, Judas, are you betraying the Son of Man? kiss. And his disciples realized what was about to happen. And they said, Lord, shall we strike with a sword? And one of them struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his right ear. And Jesus said to them in reply, stop, no more. And Jesus touched the servant's ear and healed him. And Jesus said to the chief priests and the temple guards and elders who had come for him, have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs? Day after day I was with you in the temple area, yet you did not seize me. But this is your hour, the time for the power of darkness. As they were arresting him, they led him away. They took him into the house of the high priest. Peter was following at a distance. They lit a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat around it. Peter sat down around him. When a maid saw him seated in the light, she looked intently at him and said, this man too was with them. But Peter denied it, saying, woman, I don't know him. And a short while later, someone else saw him and said, you too are one of them. But Peter answered, my friend, I am not. And an hour later, still another said, assuredly, this man was with them too, for he is a Galilean. And Peter said, oh, my friend, I do not know what you're talking about. And just then, as he was saying this, the cock crowed, and the Lord turned and looked at Peter. And Peter remembered the word of the Lord, what he had said to him. Before the cock crows today, you will deny me 3 times. And Peter went out and began to weep bitterly. The men who held Jesus in custody were ridiculing him and beating him. They blindfolded him and struck him, saying, prophesy, who was it that just struck you? They reviled him and said many other things against him. When day came, the council of elders of the people met, both chief priests and the scribes, and they brought before him their Sanhedrin. They said, if you are the Christ, show us. But Jesus replied to them, if I tell you, you will not believe. And if I question, you will not respond. But from this time on, the Son of Man will be seated at the right hand of the power of God. And they all asked him, are you the Son of God? And Jesus replied to them, you say that I am. Then they said, what further need have ye of this testimony? We have heard it from his own mouth. Then the whole assembly rose and brought him before Pilate. They brought charges against him, saying, we found this man misleading our people. He opposes the payment of taxes to Caesar, and he maintains that he is the Christ. Pilate asked him, are you the king of the Jews? And Jesus replied to him, you say so. Pilate then addressed the chief priests and the crowd. I find this man not guilty. But the crowd was adamant and said, he is inciting all the people from all Judea, from Galilee where it began, even to here. On hearing this, Pilate asked if the man was a Galilean. And upon learning that he was under Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who was in Jerusalem at the time. Herod was very glad to see Jesus. He had been wanting to see him for a long time, for he had heard about him. He had been hoping to see him perform some sign. He questioned him at length, but Jesus gave no answer. The chief priests and the scribes, meanwhile, stood by and accused him harshly. Herod and his soldiers treated him contemptuously and mocked him, and after clothing him in resplendent garb, they sent him back to Pilate. Herod and Pilate became friends that very day, even though they had been enemies before. Pilate then summoned the chief priests, the rulers, and the people, and said to them, "You brought this man to me, accused him of inciting the people to revolt. I've conducted my investigation in your presence, and I have not found this man guilty of the charges you have brought against him, nor did Herod, who sent him back to us. Since no capital crime has been committed by him, therefore I shall have him flogged and released." Altogether the people shouted, however, "Away with this man! Release Barabbas to us!" Now, Barabbas had been imprisoned for a rebellion that had taken place in the city and for murder. And again, Pilate addressed them, still wishing to release Jesus, but the people continued their shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate addressed them a third time. "What evil has this man done? I found him guilty of no capital crime. Therefore, I shall have him flogged and then release him." But with loud shouts, however, the people persisted in calling for his crucifixion, and their voices prevailed. The verdict of Pilate was that their demand should be granted. So he released the man who had been imprisoned for rebellion and murder, for whom they asked, and he handed Jesus over to them to deal with as they wished. When they led him away, they took hold of a certain Simon, a Cyrenian, who was coming in from the country, and after laying the cross on him, they made him carry it behind Jesus. A large crowd of people followed Jesus, including many women who mourned and lamented him. Jesus turned to them and said, "Daughters of Israel, do not weep for me. Weep instead for yourselves and for your children, for indeed the days are coming when people will say, 'Blessed are the barren, the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed.' In time, people will say to the mountains, 'Fall upon us,' and to the hills, 'Cover us.' For if these things are done when the wood is green, what will happen when the wood is dry?" Now 2 others, both criminals, were led away with him to be executed. When they came to a place called the Skull, they crucified him and the criminals there, one on his right and the other on his left. And Jesus said, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." And they divided his garments by casting lots. And the people stood by and watched. The rulers, meanwhile, sneered at him and said, "He saved others. Let him save himself if he is the chosen one, the Christ of God." Even the soldiers jeered at him. And as they approached to offer him wine, they called out, "If he is the King of the Jews, save himself." And above him there was an inscription which read, "This is the King of the Jews." Now one of the criminals hanging there reviled Jesus, saying, "Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us." The other, however, rebuking him, said in reply, "Have you no fear of God? For you are subject to the same condemnation, and indeed we have been condemned justly, for the sentence we received corresponds to our crime, but this man has done nothing criminal." And then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus replied to him, "Amen, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." And it was was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon because of an eclipse of the sun. And the veil of the temple was torn down the middle, and Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." And when he had said this, he breathed his last. The centurion who witnessed what had happened glorified God and said, "This man was innocent beyond doubt." When all the people who had gathered for this spectacle saw what had happened, they returned home, beating their breasts. But all his acquaintances stood at a distance, including the women who had followed him from Galilee and saw these events. Now there was a virtuous and righteous man named Joseph, who, though he was a member of the council, had not consented to their plan of action. He came from the Jewish town of Arimathea and was awaiting the kingdom of God. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. But after he had taken the body down, he wrapped it in a linen cloth and laid it in a rock-hewn tomb in which no one had yet been buried. It was the day of preparation, and the Sabbath was about to begin. The women who had come from Galilee with Jesus had followed behind, and when they had seen the tomb, the way in which his body had been laid in it, they returned and prepared spices and perfumed oils. Then they rested on the Sabbath, according to the commandment. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus.